another edition of the Finance Rebel Show. I'm Kamari Ellis, your host. Y'all know every Wednesday we do Wealthy Wednesdays. So today we're going to talk a little bit about MLK. The holiday just came. We're going to touch on that. Can't not mention the great ancestor who's paved the way for us. But what I wanted to talk about is, since everybody's talking about Zelle, Cash App, all the fun stuff there, I figured we go on the other side of the coin and we talk about all the people the IRS was locking up last year for all their tax shenanigans. So for me, it's always interesting to look at what the IRS is doing with their tax criminal cases, because everybody thinks they're just so slick. Everybody thinks they're able to get away with everything. So y'all think I'm crazy sometimes when I say some of these statements about taxes and the IRS, so much so that y'all go out y'all way to call me. What did y'all call me? Somebody, not y'all, but some of the people in the comments, right? Somebody called me a slave aide. They said that if I was around during slavery times, I would have helped out Massa. Somebody called me a full-on coon. There was a couple other spicy commentary that I got in my comment section. So, you know, it'll be interesting when y'all get to look at some of these cases and see what they're really hitting for and what the government really is looking at. Because, again, everybody thinks that crime is cool, fraud is cool, being illegal is cool. But I'm of the mindset that, you know, I got on yellow. I actually look orange. I like orange, but I don't like federally issued orange jumpsuits. I don't like federally issued polo clothes, polo shirts. I don't like federally issued nothing except for a check. And with that said, so I'm always of the mindset that I want to keep my nose clean and stay out the way, so them folks don't have no reason whatsoever to come looking for me. But other people like to tempt fate. Other people think that they're smarter than the government. So we're going to talk about that today. But as everybody comes in, come in, chime in, let me know where you're hailing from. Let me know what you got going on. And as always, y'all know every Wednesdays is about answering your money questions, right? So go ahead and throw your money questions in the chat. We will definitely get into them. Steven's in the building. Stefan's in the building. How are you, sir? So as everybody comes in and fills in the pews, again, let us know where you're hailing from. Let us know any questions you might have. But let's go ahead and get into it. Listen, Martin Luther King Day was Monday. That's the holiday. That's not the actual day. That's not his date of birth, right? Everybody knows, or everybody should know, his date of birth is January 15th. And I always like to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King because, one, he was one of our greatest, right? He put in a lot of work, did a lot of things for us. I think a lot of people have his story twisted. Some people call him weak. Some people call him a sellout. I say all those things are negative. They're all false. And I think we always need to honor our ancestors that have really sacrificed for us, and truly understand at least a little bit of what they went through, right? But, you know, everybody talks about King. They talk about his I Have a Dream speech, but they never talk about his economic platform. Now, if you really go into it, his whole thing was always about economics. If we go back to the Montgomery bus boycott in 1954, 55, somewhere around there, what did he tell folks to do? Get off the bus. Literally and figuratively. And what did that do? That caused pain. Whole lot of pain. So when you have pain economically, that tends to move the needle. He knew that a long time ago. But a lot of people don't realize who MLK's mentor was either. So when we talk about MLK and who preceded him, you have to look at a guy by the name of Vernon John. He was the pastor that preceded him when he came to MLK. And he was all about economics. He was all about collective black spending. He was all about supporting black business. If you go back and do the history, MLK, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was all about that as well. So, you know, people call King soft because he marched, because his approach was nonviolent, because dogs were sicked on him, hoses were sprayed on him, and people think that's soft. They never think about how easy it could have been to just take the violent route. They never think about how much strength it really takes to say, I gotta suck this up again. This white dude with this billy club gonna hit me upside the head again. As if he's not a man, right? I know there's a whole lot of terms floating around, alpha male, beta male. I really don't understand any of them because I believe a man is a man. Some people talk more than others. Some people like to be seen more than others, right? But at the end of the day, a man is a man. And if you mess with a man, he might give you a little bit of room, but usually not too much. Now, sure, there's some men who are more scarier than others. We can go with that. But I believe every man has the potential to hurt somebody else, to hurt another human being, if they get in their mind that that's what they're going to do. I don't care how small or how big. Doesn't matter. If they're ready to hurt something, they're going to hurt something. So, again, a lot of times we think of Dr. King as meek, as soft, as if having self-discipline and control isn't a thing of strength. As if saying, I want to turn the other cheek isn't really a thing of strength. But we make fun of it, right? But again, just want to talk about that because, again, the Poor People's Campaign, which he died for, that was about economics. When he told black folks to go support black-owned businesses, black life insurance companies, black banks, that was about economics. Nobody really talks about that. Nobody really talks about that. Why is that? Only a few of us. I mean, again, only a few of us. But we love the I Have a Dream speech. Now, many people will say that's because that's the only thing they show us. I push back and say, why are you letting the people that we call our enemy dictate your programming? If you're really about it, you'll program yourself. You'll seek and you'll find your own programming, your own education, your own entertainment, whatever it may be. Will it be hard at times? Sure. But if you're really about that life that y'all all say y'all about, you'll define yourself for yourself and not let some other outside person, entity, government, organization define you. But sadly, I feel like we are in a state of being defined by those folks that we say we hate. But we want to take on all their attributes. We want to live their lifestyle. We want to go to their places. We want to go to their clubs. We want to drive their cars. We want to wear their clothes. We want to get their own education. So if we get their education without having a cultural base of love, respect, and honor for our people first, which means love, respect, and honor ourselves first, what's actually happening there? What are we really learning? So again, it gets a little complicated. It gets a little convoluted. I get accused all the time again of being a rebel. I am a nerd. I'm wearing my melanated nerd shirt. Another black-owned business. Why? Because I try to take every opportunity to honor Dr. King, who told us to support black-owned business. Not just one day out of the year, January 15th or January 19th, but every day. I honor Kwanzaa. Go look up the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Great to be celebrated during those, 6 or 7 last days of the year. Something to be lived 365 days a year. So, again, when we really get into this thing, a lot of people say the man got their foot on their neck, on our necks. Somebody said if you stand up, they can't put their foot on your neck. So at what point do we decide to stand up? And listen, that doesn't mean you have to be a marcher or a so-called activist. There's many ways to stand up. There's many ways to do what's in your best interest. There's many ways to represent for yourself, your family, and your community. It's not always just about marching or destroying something or beating somebody up. The biggest thing we can do to stand up is really free our minds. Marcus Garvey said it best. If we can emancipate our minds, we can emancipate our bodies. But it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. But again, I'll say, be intentional about what you're reading. Go back and read some of King's books. Read what is it, y'all? Y'all know what it is. The letter from Birmingham, from a jail in Birmingham. Read, I just read this last year too. Read What Comes Next. Or Where Do We Go Next? Excuse me, Where Do We Go Next? Right? Read those things. Read them. Really get into them. Part of our problem, excuse me, folks, and I'm just speaking generally, right? Please don't take this personal. And if you take it personal and it touches you, that's your fault, not mine, right? But a lot of times we are really superficial. Even myself at times, I'm guilty of it. We need to start going into a deeper level. I saw my man Kevin was on earlier. We talk about this all the time. We say we really need to get into the nuance of things. And so all my life I've been called, what's the word I've been called? I ride the fence. They say I ride the fence sometimes because I look at the nuance of a thing. You can't come to me showing me a 30-second clip and say somebody did X, Y, Z and you can't give me the full story. I need the full story. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And as Malcolm X said, I'm here for the truth. Whether it's my truth, your truth, or anybody's truth. We got to seek the context. And in order to seek the context, we got to know the nuance. So I would say get into the nuance, y'all. Get comfortable getting into the nuance. But a lot of times, again, people, they don't want to do it. They want it to be black and white. Yes or no. Stop or go. Fast or slow. That's not life. Everybody says, life is black and white. And then sometimes people say it's gray. I live in the gray. Well, I like to say I don't live in the gray. I live in the color. Because everything between black and white is color. If you really want to get into the spectrum of color. But that might be a little too nerdy for y'all. It might be a little too dirty. Our man Keith says your glass is half full, guy. Yeah, I believe that. It is. You got to be able to see both sides of the spectrum. And then, once you have enough evidence, once you have enough context, once you have enough nuance, you can make a decision. But a lot of times we rush to judgment. And also on the other side of the fence, sometimes you don't need to make a whole lot of analysis of a thing. You see somebody rob your mama, it's go time. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they needed, it's go time. Period. Point blank. But all right, y'all, listen, remember Dr. King wasn't the only one that was alive in that struggle, but it is his birthday and we're celebrating. But look up others like Ralph Abernathy. Look up others like Jesse Jackson. Look up others like, the gentleman's name is escaping me right now. He was really the architect of it all. He was a gay man. He was a gay black man. Banyard Rustin. Look up Banyard Rustin. Do some research on Banyard Rustin, who was an openly gay black man. And don't hit me with this, I'm supporting the gay agenda. They've been here. They're not going anywhere. They are black. They've always been gay black people who've been fighting for black folks throughout the diaspora. Look them up. Get your own knowledge base. Do your own research. All right? All right, so yes, look up James Baldwin. Another openly gay black man who was about black folks. No agendas, just about fair treatment, equal treatment of black people. That's it. All right. So listen, y'all know it's Wealthy Wednesdays. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw them in the chat. Throw them in the little X box or the little question mark box. On Instagram, we are broadcasting live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube all at the same time. At some point, I got to start putting these up on LinkedIn as well. They might not like my pro black speech though, so we'll see. Because I love to mix the cultural and with the money, because when you really get to it, culture dictates money. Culture is actually greater than money, but that's a whole other conversation that I know a lot of us ain't ready to have. So today, like I said, I wanted to talk about the IRS and how the IRS tracks down a lot of their criminals, how they get busy. So I wanted to talk about that. Everybody's been talking about Zelle, Miss Cash App, and these loopholes. Everybody, it astonishes me just how much poor, bad information is out there. And it astonishes me even further just how much more it begins to live. I could tell somebody, that's why I appreciate y'all. I could tell somebody, listen, this is it. Here's the source. Here's the material. These are the facts in this situation. And they say, nah, man, they just trying to keep us down. When in actuality, they're actually giving us the playbook. Just got to figure out what perspective you want to view it from. But again, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to preach tonight. But I wanted to talk about, again, what does the IRS look at? Their 10 top tax cases, what they call it, I'm going to put up on the screen right now. They call it the IRS's CI Countdown, the top 10 cases of 2021. Now, if you're just now joining, don't know who I am, don't know me from a can of paint, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. Every week on Wednesdays, we do Wealthy Wednesdays, where I answer your money questions live. I usually, if there's not a whole lot of questions, I usually will have something to talk about that I think you all should be paying attention. Now, I think you all should be paying attention to taxes, right? It's the most burdensome bill that we will ever have in our lifetime. Plus, a lot of us like to try to get over. So, with that said, I think you should at least know what they're looking for and how they get down with the people that actually try to get over. So, all right, like I said, IRS CI Countdown, the top 10 cases of 2021. What does CI mean? IRS CI is criminal investigation. So, there are times, and listen, I don't like to try to gaslight or make up things, right? But there are times when you not doing your taxes or trying to commit tax evasion, meaning you're intentionally trying to defraud the government, you're intentionally making up schemes to not pay your taxes, where you can go to jail. We all have seen Wesley Snipes, right? Fat Joe, Lauryn Hill, some DMX, all these folks that went to jail over taxes. Y'all, they did that, so y'all ain't got to do that. Y'all can learn from their lessons. All right, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let me blow up the screen just a little bit. So again, I show you these things so again we can be aware. All right, so cases include tax evasion, Ponzi schemes, COVID fraud, and cyber crimes. Okay, again, these cases, these top 10 cases include tax evasion, Ponzi schemes, COVID fraud, and cyber crime, all right? So DC, the headquarters for the IRS is in DC. They have a whole Twitter stream called, it's like IRS CI or something like that. And they released this on January 3rd. And so they started putting down their top 10. The investigation work of 2021 has all the makings of a made-for-TV movie. It does. Embezzlement of funds from a nonprofit, right? A family fraud ring that stole millions in COVID relief fund, and a $1 billion Ponzi scheme used to buy sports teams, luxury vehicles. But this is a real life, and I'm regretful to our IRS CI agents for pursuing these leads and ensuring that the perpetrators were prosecuted for their crimes, right? So that's the head guy over top of criminal investigations. His name is Jim Lee. So like, these are really things. And if y'all been rocking with me for a while, y'all know I kind of bring up tax cases, whether they be criminal cases or just tax cases from time to time, because again, we can all learn. Wise guy told me once, he said, being smart is learning from your mistakes. Being wise is learning from the mistakes of others. So I'm hoping that I can help us get to a better understanding so we can get to some more wisdom. All right, because I want to be wise. I don't want to just be smart. I want to be wise. All right, so number 10 on the list, Albuquerque couple sentenced to federal prison, and I don't know how to pronounce that word, Dandon or Dando, forgive me. So Cecil Harris and William Harris were sentenced to 47 and 15 years. So 47 years and 15-year prison sentences in federal prison, respectively. So the lady got more time than the dude in this. They stole funds from this company. It's a nonprofit organization that provides guardianships, conservatorships, and financial management to hundreds of people with special needs. That's actually kind of funny because I'm actually a member of an investment committee of a company very similar to that. They have a lot of money in trust to take care of guardians, to take care of their guardians because they're usually special needs. Quick tip. And this is something we all need to think about. If you know any children who are special needs, right, Down syndrome, autistic, anything like that, anything that's on the spectrum, they are going to need special legal protections if they are to govern themselves or to take care of themselves as they get older. If they are, oftentimes, our special needs children never truly reach what's called the age of majority. They're never really fully viewed as adults. With that being said, so let's say their mother and father have taken care of them all their lives. Mommy and daddy die. They leave son or daughter who's on the spectrum some money. They can't handle that money. The law won't allow it. The law will issue a guardian or some kind of service to handle their money. It's better if the parents take preventative steps and do some special needs planning for their children well in advance of their last days so they can make sure those things are taken care of. All right, so just keep that in mind. That came to mind as I was going through this, so forgive me for the break. All right, so these folks, they robbed a nonprofit, which is crazy to me. All right, so I want to show you the actual case on that. And as I think about this, I don't know if we'll be able to get through all of these just because things are crazy for me right now and I can't be on with y'all all night. Even though I would like to, I really would. But let's look at this real quick. All right, so Albuquerque couple sentenced to federal prison. All right, so Susan K. Harris and William H. Harris, both of Albuquerque, New Mexico, were sentenced today in federal court for conspiracy to defraud the United States and other financial crimes committed in connection with the operations of, I can't say the name, y'all, but it's a nonprofit. All right, so let's see. A superseding indictment, 2019, so they've been on their trail for a minute. Just going back through this, I want to get the amounts. All right, the stolen funds were used to fund an extravagant lifestyle, including the purchases of homes, vehicles, luxury RVs, cruises, as well as a private box at the pit at the University of New Mexico. The stolen funds were also used to pay for more than $4.4 billion in American Express charges incurred by the defendants and their families. Talk about running off with the bag. Too bad the bag didn't run with them. All right. All right, so William Harris, who worked as a guardian, admitted that he knew that Moore was siphoning payments to clients from the Department of Veterans Affairs and Social Security. So from the VA and Social Security Administration, the Social Security Administration, and using the money to benefit herself. Harris and their co-conspirators, Harris specifically admitted receiving, endorsing, and depositing dozens of checks drawn on the nonprofit account for their own benefit. So that tells me something. I'm going to come back to it in a minute. Harris admitted to this involvement in a money laundering scheme using the corporate credit card for personal expenses, knowing that it will be paid for with client money. He also admitted his role in a loan application for the stated purpose of expanding the business with the actual intent of using money to pay back clients whose money had been taken without authorization. All right, so the sentences that the defendant have received today were just, and the defendants are fully deserving of them, said Frederico, acting U.S. Attorney for the District of New Mexico. The defendant's conduct in preying upon individuals with special needs who they were entrusted to protect were both loathsome and contemptible. We hope that these sentences serve as a warning to others that we will seek to hold accountable anyone who chooses to violate federal law by abusing any similar position of trust. All right. So here's a couple of things, right? So clearly, they're scumbags, right? Clear out, right? We ain't got to play around with that. Remember I said there's nuance, and then sometimes you can just get right to it. They're scumbags. There's no beating around the bush with that. Anytime you steal from people that you're supposed to be a steward for, you're not really a good person. And maybe there's some other things going on. You need some counseling. Maybe there's some addiction. I don't know. But there's also blame to be had on the nonprofit side. Why? Why would you say that, Kamari? They just took advantage of those people. Nonprofits have a duty, a special stewardship position to protect their funds. And when they do, they hire a guy like me, oftentimes. Like many of y'all know, I'm on the board of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. I'm the treasurer. No, I don't want to be treasurer for any other nonprofits. No, I don't want to be on any other nonprofit boards. I get asked all the time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. However, I have to question every nook and cranny, every penny and dime that gets spent out of that account. And if there's anything crazy going on, I'm supposed to alert the board and the membership, because it's not our money. It's the members' money. Same thing here. It was their clients' money. So that tells me that that nonprofit did not have good accounting regulations. They didn't have good accounting. What's the word I'm looking for? Have all these words and numbers running through my head right now. They don't have good accounting checks and balances. That's what I'm thinking about. They don't have good accounting checks and balances. And a lot of times people get on these boards and they do things and they think there's $1 million in the account. Oh, and so they just got it, where they don't factor in the cost of insurance, the cost of salary, the cost of rental, the cost of just taxes. And sometimes some nonprofits have to actually pay taxes. They don't factor in the cost of running the business. Nonprofits are businesses, y'all. They are businesses. They don't factor in all that. And to be honest, a lot of times they really don't care. They don't care about who they're going to hurt. But these are all the things you got to be thinking about if you are going to take on that leadership position. You got to protect the money. Same thing for the Black community. We got to think about it. We got to protect the money, not from a materialistic standpoint, but more from a self-preservation standpoint. Every year our kids ain't got books for schools. Some public school system is always run out of money over some political BS. Well, what do? You might have to do something a little bit different. But again, going back to this case, because I'm not going to go off on a tangent again, going back to this case, y'all heard the time, y'all heard the charges, over $4 million on American Express charges. All right. Let's see here. Oh, so Young was ordered to pay approximately $6.8 million in restitution to the victim. So it doesn't pay to be a criminal, y'all. It really doesn't pay. So the person did the crime. They got out with the money. The IRS caught up with them. Now they got to pay the money back. And they're going to jail. Doesn't sound like an even exchange. What do y'all think? Does that sound like an even exchange to y'all? Does that make any sense? I would say no. But people still do crime. People do dumb crime too. But, again, it is what it is. All right, so that's the first one. That's the first one. So let's go next to the list, right? So Rochester man to prison and ordered to pay millions in restitution for his role in Ponzi scheme that bilked investors out of millions of dollars. All right. So let's go to that one. Let's check that one out. So that's number 9. All right, we started with number 10. Today we're on number 9. Ooh, and this is a big one. This is a doozy. right, give me 1 second, y'all, to pull it on the screen. This is crazy. And the crazy thing about this is, with all these people, they get away with all this money. They do the dumbest, most oddest things. But we won't talk about that. We saw it in the last one, right? You're buying boats and stuff, but we'll talk about it a little bit deeper. Okay, so again, Rochester man is going to prison. Ponzi scheme bilked investors out of millions of dollars. All right, U.S. Attorney Trina E. Ross announced today that Joe Pacarito, if I'm saying the names wrong, I'm sorry, was convicted of conspiracy to commit mail fraud. So I want y'all to pay attention to all the charges too, right? Mail fraud. Anytime you mail something and you're doing a crime, it's called mail fraud. All right, was sentenced to serve 84 months. Somebody do 84 months real quick. How many years is that? What is that? 84 divided by 12. What is that? How many years is that? Somebody give it to me. 84 months in prison by Judge Frank. I'm going to stop reading it. Just by a judge who was also ordered to pay restitution totaling, get a hold of this, y'all, $19,842,613.66. Rounded up, it's $20 million. So this guy had crimes of $20 million. $20 million. 7 years. All right. So Ineffable Media says 7 years. All right. So 84 months is 7 years. All right. Jose also chimed in, says 7 years. All right. So 7 years. 7 years and restitution. Lord. All right. The scheme, which was conducted under the umbrella of a business entity called Lucian Development, that name sounds kind of sketch, involved the sale of fraudulent promissory notes that were issued under the names of various entities that Santello and Paris controlled, including Lucian Developments. All right, so what's promissory notes? They're promises to pay money back. They're loans, right? So those are some of the things that these people out here in the streets doing. Oh man. So the issuers received money from new investors and then redistributed that money to repay early investors. Typical Ponzi scheme, right? Y'all heard this before. This ain't new. Only difference was Ponzi, the original Ponzi, Charles Ponzi, back in, I want to say the 20s, was selling stamps. He was buying stamps in England or Germany, resold them here in the States. They had a markup for a little bit, then it fell, but he kept getting the money. Kept saying he was going to buy the stamps, stop delivering the stamps. So here, same thing. You promise something up front, they stop delivering, and then boom, something crazy happens. All right. It was initially, all right, so the suspect in this, or the criminal in this, was initially unaware that the business was a Ponzi scheme when he began working for Lucian Development. Now, in this case, they bring up somebody else's name that y'all might remember from a few years ago. Let's see. I don't know if they bring it up here, but let's see. Yeah, I was reading this earlier and I saw somebody y'all might recognize. Let me see. Let me get back to my spot. All right, so initially unaware that the business was a Ponzi scheme. So the guy went to work for a business, excuse me, that was a Ponzi scheme. Didn't know it. All right. He did a good job. He started working in the company. He got more and more. So it's a scheme after the company stopped paying promised returns to clients, investors whom he serviced. However, wait a minute, let me back up. By January, let me back up again. As he gained experience with investments and obtained a securities license, the criminal's responsibilities increased. By January 2017, the defendant realized that the Lucian Development business was indeed a Ponzi scheme. So he got a securities license. Somehow his company had to have some kind of securities license. So what does that tell you about the SEC and FINRA? What kind of due diligence are they doing? What are you doing? Right? What are they doing? All right, so he figured out it was a Ponzi scheme, serving his association with Lucian Development. The criminal continued to work for Santello in Paris, knowingly lying to investors by falsely reassuring them that their investments were safe and secure, even though he knew that was not true. So he's an accomplice in all this, and encouraging investors to reinvest their fraudulent investments by signing new promissory notes, okay? Between January 1st, 2017 and June 19th of 2018, the criminal was involved in defrauding approximately 400 investors out of approximately roughly 18 million, which resulted in financial hardship to more than 25 of its investor victims. The criminal also admitted that while working in Texas, he personally solicited and defrauded at least 8 investors out of approximately, let's say, $600,000. In addition, on his 2017 tax return, ding, 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 tax returns always come into play in anything criminal. Earlier this year, everybody was up in arms like, the IRS wants criminals to file their taxes. Yes, the IRS wants criminals to file their taxes. The IRS wants everybody to file their taxes and pay taxes on all the monies, illegal or legal. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. All right, so let's get back to this real quick. So the tax returns downplayed. The defendant claimed a taxable income, goddamn, of $6,576. In fact, the criminal's taxable income was approximately $538,548. So again, he reported to the IRS that he only made $6,576. The IRS figured out these were the totals, $538,548. Now that's an estimate. Might not be right, might not be wrong, but we know it was more than $6,500. Probably a whole lot more. All right, so income was approximately, again, $538,000, which resulted in a defendant avoided paying income taxes to the IRS in the amount of approximately $159,423. So he had a tax bill of $160,000. 160,000. He owed a lot of bread. A lot. But he thought he was going to be able to get away with it. Now, again, before I go into this any deeper, I want y'all to think about everybody that thinks they're going to get away with a thing, and they don't. Everybody thinks they can underreport their taxes, and they get caught. And I'm going to be honest with you. Audit rates are really, really low from the IRS. But goddamn, when they catch you, they catch you. And everything is going downhill from there. All right? So let's get back into it. All right, so Perry Santello and Chris Paris was previously convicted and are awaiting sentencing. The sentence is the result of an investigation by the Internal Revenue. We already know that. So, but basically, these folks didn't report anything. Now, they didn't mention it in this one, but I read this case earlier. The guy they were in league with, that they had started with Lucian, they were also affiliated with a guy by the name of Ephraim Taylor. So if any of y'all remember Ephraim Taylor, he's been in the news for a long time for some of his shenanigans, and I believe he's actually in jail right now serving a sentence for bilking people out of money. All right, so that was number 9. That was number 9 on the list. Now, I think I thought I lost my list for a minute there, y'all. Let me go back and find it. So now we got to get to number 7. Again, these cases are, I know y'all probably think, come on, why do you even care about an IRS criminal investigation? So let me know, do y'all think this is weird? Put a 1 in the chat and say it's weird, right? If you don't think it's weird and it's helpful and informative, put a 2 in the chat. Let's see. Gemini Poppy's in the house. Honey Almond's in the house. Jay is of all kinds. Jay is one of a kind. How are you? All right, Jose put it too. He said it's interesting. All right. Kelly's Closet is here. All right, so y'all put in the chat if y'all find it's interesting or if you think it's boring. All right, Kevin puts a 2 in the chat. K-Love puts a 2 in the chat. Is that K-Love? That my family? All right, Moche put true. All right, the Forbes put 2. All right, the Forbes stuck in the building. How you doing? Sorry I didn't get to all y'all. I'll get to y'all in a minute. Y'all know I like to acknowledge my peoples. All right, so number 8. We on number 8, y'all. Number 8. Orlando sisters sentenced in $25 million tax fraud scheme. Again, people really think they're going to get away with the frauding folks. I mean, I ain't even going to go on the karma. I ain't going to get woo-woo on y'all. Not going to get woo-woo on y'all, right? So let's put it up on the screen. I'll read this one, matter of fact. All right, so this is Orlando. All right. Petra Gomez was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for conspiracy to defraud the government and tax evasion. So tax evasion, tax returns, IRS, all go together. All right. She had pleaded guilty on November 16, 2020. Gomez's sister, Jacqueline, previously pled guilty. All right, so there was at least 2 people in this. Sounds like somebody gave up on somebody else, gave up the information. Oh, what we all call snitching, right? That nobody's supposed to do, but all these folks snitching. Okay, all right. Keep that in the back of your mind. Keep that in the back of your mind. All right, hold on, let me get some water. All right, so they defrauded the government and was sentenced in April 2021 to 4 years in federal prison. That's kind of light to me. The court ordered Gomez and the other accomplice to pay, damn, this number's huge, $24,940,495 in restitution to the IRS, to the Internal Revenue Service. Gomez was ordered to pay an additional $510,999, so roughly $511,000 to the IRS for tax evasion. All right, so hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. According to court documents from January 2012 to June 2016, Gomez and Lumsco conspired to defraud the IRS by submitting more than 16,000 false tax returns. 16,000 tax returns, which resulted in nearly $25 million in fraudulent tax returns. To conceal the fraud, the criminals created 5 different tax preparation companies. Told y'all, I do not look good in orange issued federal jumpsuits, nor federally issued polo suits, nor federally issued sneakers. Sometimes they don't even get a belt. So things get a little rough. I don't look good in none of it. Doesn't match my skin tones. All right, so, wow, this is crazy. All right, so in addition, was filing her 2014 tax return. Gomez failed to declare more than $800,000 in income. Gomez claimed $213,434 in earnings when she actually earned $1.1 million. Y'all want the real number? I'll give you the real number. $1,110,508. So she made $1.1 million, declared $213,000. Talk about greedy. Talk about greedy. All right, so this resulted in a tax liability of $510,999 for tax year 2014. Now, mind you, that was tax year 2014. They've been running this scam since 2012. So what did she make in 2012 and 2013? All right, so then they got sentenced for that. But again, it just really shows that I keep telling y'all ain't that smart and the IRS just ain't that dumb. It's just not. they might be a little backed up, but if you do some egregious stuff, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. I need to go deeper into this one because I bet they probably did some dumb shenanigans. They probably brought all kinds of crazy stuff that tipped them off, that tipped people off, that tipped the IRS off to what they were doing. But that was interesting. That was interesting. All right. So number seven. Number seven. Now this one's a little bit more convoluted, but I'll share this one with you. I'll share this one so everybody can see, everybody can follow along. My apologies if you're listening to this on the rebroadcast and the podcast, or if you're on Instagram. Hopefully I'm doing a good job conveying the information. But if you want to get the best experience probably is watching on Facebook or YouTube, preferably YouTube. I'm trying to get my YouTube numbers up. Remember, if you're new here, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. Every Wednesday we do Wealthy Wednesdays, where I normally answer your money questions, and I try to talk about some interesting things I see out here in the money landscape. All right, the Finance Rebel Show is all about money, taxes, stocks, business, economics, in the hopes that we can help raise the financial education in the Black community, or the financial IQs of people in the Black community. So do me a favor, like, comment, and share this, right? Y'all know I'm fighting the algorithms. They don't like me talking about this positive Black finance stuff. So do me a favor, like the algorithm, like the broadcast, share the broadcast, leave a comment on the broadcast. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find it at The Finance Rebel. The Finance Rebel. All right, so again, this one's a little deep. Russian bank founder sentenced for evading exit tax upon renouncing U.S. citizenship. Russian bank founder sentenced for evading exit tax upon renouncing U.S. citizenship. Listen, you get taxed every which way coming. Up, down, side to side, north, south, east, and west. You have to pay a tax on everything. All right, so the founder of a Russian bank was sentenced today for his felony conviction of filing a false tax return. So this Russian guy had to file a tax return in the United States, as required under the plea agreement prior to the sentencing of Oleg Tinkov. He paid prior to sentencing, Oleg paid, $508,936,184, which is more than double the amount he sought to escape paying. Crime don't pay, y'all. All right, paying to the U.S. Treasury, though renouncing his U.S. citizenship and concealing from the IRS large stock gains. So he made a bunch of money in the stock market, didn't report it, he didn't pay taxes on it. All right, which he knew were reportable. So he knew. This payment includes a $248 million, Jesus Christ, let's just say $249 million statutory interest on that tax, and a nearly $100 million fraud penalty. So God darn, he got fined $100 million just for the fraud penalty. The fraud penalty alone was $100 million. That sentence was handed down by U.S. District Court John Tagar. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm not going to go into this one a lot because I can tell this one is very, very intricate, but I'll definitely give you the meat of this. All right, so in October 2013, TSC held an initial public offering, IPO. Y'all know I hate IPOs. All right, on the London Stock Exchange, and became a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company. As part of going public, Tinkoff sold a small portion of his majority shareholder stake for more than $192 million, and his assets following the IPO reached a fair market value of more than $1.1 billion. 3 days after the successful IPO, Tinkoff went to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, Russia, and relinquished his U.S. citizenship. Oh my goodness. Like, so basically he was in Russia, was able to take advantage of an IPO, got his windfall, and figured he didn't have to pay Caesar what he was due because he was not in Caesar's land, so to speak, right? In the United States land. He was in Russia at the time. All right, so as part of his expatriation, Tinkoff was required to file a U.S. initial and annual exportation statement. This form requires expatriates with a net worth of $2 million or more to report the constructive sale of their assets, basically the sale of whatever assets they sold around the world. And you have to report that to the IRS. So if you are an expat, meaning that you are here, so you are a U.S. citizen and you are somewhere traveling, somewhere working, somewhere living, you still got to file taxes. You still got to report everything. You got to let the U.S. government, who's run tax purposes, the tax authority is the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. You got to report that stuff. This guy came up, he hit a lick. He was like, no, I ain't reporting nothing. It's almost like those questions like if you find a bag on the side of the road, do you report it? A bag of money on the side of the road. If you find a bag of money on the side of the road, do you report it? Do you keep it? Do you give it back? Well, he found his bag and he was like, I'm taking my bag home. And I ain't telling nobody. I ain't telling nobody. So he didn't think $1 billion was going to get him reported. All right, so Tinkoff was told of his filings and tax obligations by both the U.S. Embassy in Moscow and his U.S.-based accountant. When asked by his accountant if his net worth was more than $2 million for purposes of filing out of the expatriation form, Tinkoff lied and told him he did not have assets above $2 million. You didn't have assets above $2 million, but you did a transaction on the London Stock Exchange that netted you over $100 million. And that was actually valued at almost $1 billion. But you thought it was cool to lie. All right, so they're saying Tinkoff. All right, let me back up. Let me find this again real quick. All right, so it says Tinkoff's property is more than worth $1 billion, nor did he pay the applicable taxes as required by law. In total, Tinkoff caused a tax loss. So since the government didn't collect, they lost of $248 million, right? Let's just say $249 million. And he now has paid that in full with substantial penalties and interest as part of his plea, together with tax liabilities for other years. And so what did this guy get? Again, this one's mind-boggling. This could have been avoided. This one, like, this is just a great example of being greedy. I mean, how much, like, if y'all had $1 billion, would y'all try to skate off and not pay y'all taxes? I don't care where you are, right? Okay, it looks like he might have just got the fine. All right, so he was sentenced to time served. All right, so he was already in jail. Sentenced to time served and 1 year of supervised release. But where is that release? And I'm curious to know, was he still able to renounce his citizenship? That's interesting. All right, so let me know what y'all think. Y'all find this interesting? Y'all tired of all this tax talk? Put a 1 if you find it interesting in the chat. Put a 2 if you're done with it. You're ready to go. All right, so Philly Amplified's in the building. Akira 34 is in the building. All right, so Akira says she likes to hear how to skirt them. All right, I hear you. All right. Interesting. All right, Scorpio gang. Oh, what's up, cousin? Didn't realize you was in the building. How are you? So, all right, you find it as interesting, cousin? All right. 87 ASV is here. She says he finds it interesting. Cool. All right, all right, all right. Miss T is here. Teacher 11:30. What's up, man? How you been? Doris is here. All right, so the ineffable media says the biggest thing I see is how the little we understand the foundational principles of money on the personal side and business. A person is a business and a business is a person. Yes, yes, that is true. Is a business is an entity, not necessarily a person, but the entity has a lot of the same rights, likes, and privileges as a person. So, all right, let's see. That's right. That's right. All right, so Bossman PG says 1. All right, Scorpio Gang says, of course, now just kidding. All right, that's right. That's right. All right, Mote says, keep going. All right, we'll do. We'll do. Let's see. All right, I want to keep this short and sweet with y'all. Ontario man who ran a multi-billion-dollar unlicensed. You know what? Let's do this. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm gonna read off the highlights to y'all, and then what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to tell me which ones y'all want to go through, because we still got. I just did 7, right? Counting backwards from 10. So I did 10, 9, 8, and 7. So we got 7. So we got another 6 more, but we're not going to have time to go through all that, right? So the Ontario man, I'm gonna read off. Let me back up. I'm going to read off the headlines, and then I want y'all to tell me which ones y'all want to hear. I already kind of know which ones you want to hear, but I want y'all to confirm it for me. All right, so Ontario man who ran multi-million-dollar unlicensed brokerage exchange business sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. Okay, again, Ontario man who ran multi-million-dollar unlicensed Bitcoin exchange business sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. That was one. Owner of Bitcoin exchange sentenced to prison for money laundering. All right. Ex-pastor of Orange County Church sentenced to 14 years in federal prison for orchestrating $33 million con that defrauded investors. Prairie Village man sentenced to 12 years for $7.3 million payday loan fraud, $8 million tax evasion. DC Solar owner sentenced to 30 years in prison, 30 years, for billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. San Fernando Valley family members sentenced to years in prison for fraudulently obtaining tens of millions of dollars in COVID relief. All right, so I'm going to read them back, right? And I'm going to give you a number. So if you want to hear this one, put in a 1. San Fernando Valley family member sentenced to years in prison for fraudulently obtaining tens of millions of dollars in COVID relief. All right. If you want to hear that, put a 1 in the chat. This one, number 2. If you want to hear this story, put a number 2 in the chat. DC Solar owner sentenced to 30 years in prison for billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. 2. Put a 2 in the chat if you want to hear about the DC Solar case. Number 3. Prairie Village man sentenced to 12 years for $7.3 million payday loan fraud, $8 million tax evasion. So put a 3 in the chat if you want to hear about Prairie Village. Put a 4 in the chat for this one, all right? Ex-pastor, so somebody pastor and got in trouble. Ex-pastor of Orange County Church sentenced to 14 years in prison for orchestrating $33 million con that defrauded investors. All right, so that's number 4. If you want to hear about pastor in Orange County, put number 4 in the chat. Number 5, owner of Bitcoin exchange sentenced to prison for money laundering. So that's number 5. Number 5 for the Bitcoin owner exchange. And number 6, put a 6 in the chat for Ontario man who ran a multi-million-dollar unlicensed Bitcoin exchange. All right, so y'all put that in, and I will pick from the top out here. Now we got to do this quickly. So if y'all shy, get off y'all Twitter fingers and chime in so we can have a democratic process. All right, so Jose says 1. Jose says 3. All right, so 1 and 3. All right, Akira34 says, sounds like Madoff. Yes, a lot of these sound like Madoff. Sadly, it ain't nothing new under the sun. Jose says 5. So, Jose, you won 1, 3, and 5. Jay Phillips, how are you? Welcome. 1, 5, 6. Jose, you want to hear all of them. So now you got 6? Come on, pick your top 2. I ain't got all night with y'all. I still got to do some work. Clients don't want to hear that I'm talking to y'all online. They don't care. All right, Akira says COVID relief. All right, so do me a favor. If y'all enjoying this, share this out. All right, you're watching the Finance Rebel Show. If you don't know my name is Kamari Ellis, the Finance Rebel. I am a nerd. I'm rocking my melanated nerd shirt. Y'all know I'm a big fan of black business, black economy, black culture, black everything. Not to say the United States, but all over the globe. All right, so the whole purpose of this show, the Finance Rebel Show, is to help folks in the black community elevate their financial IQ. So we talk about a lot of different things, right? Tonight we're talking about the IRS and taxes. We're talking about people running off with the bag, literally. But usually they don't get that far because the bag usually is too heavy for them to carry. And so they never made proper plans to really run off in the first place. All right. All right. I'll also take the links. Matter of fact, I might at some point, put together like my top 10 or top 5 funniest tax evasion cases. Maybe I'll do like a little PDF or something. Let me know if y'all interested in that. I look at these all the time. All right, so I'm seeing consistent themes for 1. Let's see what the Instagram family has. All right, Scorpio says 1, 2, 4. Bossman says 2. Jocelyn Noel, how are you? Welcome. All right, and listen, I can't get to them all because I still gotta answer some questions, right? Still gotta answer some questions. Do me a favor, like, comment, and share. I can't see my screen here. Let's see here. That works a little bit. All right, and listen, before we get into those next cases, I need a favor from y'all, right? Have y'all seen any of my latest YouTube videos? I'm dropping a lot of good stuff. Now, I drop it to y'all. I try to get it out to y'all, but I need y'all to help me share it out with some of the folks too. It's good stuff. If anybody is looking for savings alternatives, right, I get a lot of questions about what can I do to boost up my savings. I dropped a video about it. Gave you about 3 different options. Shout out to Thunder. Is Thunder here? I'm not sure if Thunder's here or not, but shout out to Thunder because Thunder actually, who usually rocks with us almost every week, gave me the idea for one of them. He actually gave it to everybody, right? But I just reiterated it and put it out as well. So let me do this real quick. I want y'all to check out these latest YouTube videos. Good stuff. All right, so I did this one here. Let's blow up the screen just a little bit. All right, savings account, 4.7%. Oops, let me take that down. All right, so this one here is a good one. It's long, but it's a good one. If you're looking for any ideas on how to pump up your savings account, watch that YouTube video again. 3 ideas to help you earn 4% or more on your savings account. If any of you are into real estate investing, last week I did an interview with Rhonda Anderson. Do you need an LLC to own your property? I know a lot of y'all are interested in that. Check that out. And then also the week before that, no, that was last week too. Last week too, I got the chance to hang out with Erica Williams, the superstar Erica Williams. So y'all check out Erica Williams. And we did a show about black women creating wealth. Great show. Erica, multi-talented, like in a bunch of stuff, trucking, real estate, overall business. So y'all go on over to my YouTube channel, subscribe if you haven't, check it out, watch some of these videos, leave some comments on these videos, and, you know, share the world, spread the wealth, spread the wealth. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right, so enough of that. Let's get back to these tax cases. All right, so I think number one has it. I think number one has it. I think we're going to go after number one. Is one it? All right, maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll do a part two of this. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow for a little bit and do a part two of this and go through all of them. Maybe, you know, maybe if y'all want me to, do it, I'll come back tomorrow night and do a part two of this. Y'all chime in the chat and y'all let me know. All right, so 87 ASV says she watched, learned so much. All right, cool. Lamont Harris, Manuel Smith, what's up, brother? All right, so again, all right, looks like we're going to go with number one. Number one. All right, San Fernando Valley family members sentenced to years in prison for fraudulently obtaining tens of millions in dollars of COVID relief funds. All right. So let's check this out real quick. Again, I'm always astounded just at how crazy people are when they do these crimes. Now, I've talked about this before. It seems like there was a trend amongst all the PPP frauds. They love to buy Lambos. Why in the world you would want to buy a Lamborghini when you just defrauded the government, when you know they're looking for people, is beyond me. I totally don't get it. But that's why I'm not a criminal, because I'm not built for that kind of life. When cats say thug life, I'm screaming nerd life. I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. All right, so San Fernando Valley family sentenced to years in prison for fraudulently obtaining tens of millions of dollars in COVID relief funds. All right, so let's check this out. All right, good. Went over with it. All right, so 3 members of a San Fernando Valley family has been sentenced, 2 of them in absentia. Absentia means that they wasn't there, they didn't show up. They blew the court date. They didn't show up after they fled justice following their convictions at trial. To years in federal prison for scheming to fraudulently obtain more than $20 million in payroll protection programs. They call it paycheck protection programs. It's actually payroll. And economic injury disaster loans. So those are all the loans that everybody wanted to get. All right. Okay. So on Monday, U.S. District Court Stephen Wilson handed down prison sentences to Encino residents. Richard, I can't say his last name, who was ordered to serve 17 years. Marietta, can't say the last name, but this is Richard's wife, who was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Arthur, who was Richard's brother, was also ordered to serve 5 years in prison. So what we looking at, like 38, 39 years of prison time altogether? That's a lot of time. All right, so at Monday's sentencing hearing, Judge Wilson said he could not recall a fraud case conduct in such a callous, intentional way without any regard for the law. Judge, so you know when the judge start talking spicy like that, that means he's offended. That means this got up under his skin. So he's a little antsy about this one. All right, these sentences reflect our office's determination to root out and punish wrongdoers who use national emergencies to defraud the government. I want y'all to pay attention to this language. All right, this is the language of the people in the justice system. When they think you're doing something wrong, they trying to hit you with the full book of the government. All right, so the criminal syndicate pilfered. Oh, they got spicy language. If y'all don't notice, I'm actually a lover of words too. So the criminal syndicate pilfered millions of dollars in COVID-19 relief funds that were intended to aid small businesses during this unprecedented pandemic. All right, so the lawyer for the IRS said that Let's see what they did. Defendants lived a lavish lifestyle by defrauding the government at the expense of small businesses and American taxpayers already facing financial and pandemic-related hardships. All right, another in charge of FBI. So the FBI, listen, when these cases come with the IRS, it's not usually just the IRS. It's the IRS, and usually the FBI, the IRS, and the DEA a lot of times, and the FBI, the IRS, and ATF as well. Especially like in some of these like really big rings. All right. Let's see. I lost my spot. All right, the defendants lived a lavish life. The FBI is actively investigating the whereabouts of the fugitives and will pursue them until they are taken into custody. All right, so they still out on the run. They still America's most wanted. The FBI is offering an award of $20,000 for information. All right. At the end of the 8-day trial, a federal jury on June 25th found Richard Timberline, an author, guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud and wire fraud. 11 counts of wire fraud. So conspiracy means that they was thinking about doing it. And then when they said the actual 11 counts, the 11 counts is where they have enough evidence to say that they actually did it. 8 counts of bank fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. All right, so that was for Richard, and his brother were also convicted of aggravated identity theft. So that means they've been stealing everybody's identities. All right, so on June 28th, the jury further found that Richard and the other folks must forfeit bank accounts, jewelry, watches, gold coins. Shout out to JT Coins, who's in the building. He might be able to buy some of those gold coins in a government auction. 3 residential properties and approximately $450,000 in cash. Judge Wilson previously sentenced 4 defendants in this case. All right, so Minunk was sentenced October 25th to 6 years in prison. Edvard, not Edward, but Edvard from Grandino Hills was sentenced on September 27th to 30 months in prison. All right, so how many years is that? 30 months in prison. What's that, like 2.5 years? Vi was sentenced on October 18th to 12 months and 1 day in prison. Why do the 1 day? They were just being petty. And Armand, not going to read his name, was ordered on October 18th to serve 10 months of probation. Okay. Then it says Tamara of Encino is scheduled to be sentenced on December 6th, but Judge Wilson has not yet ruled on a motion to withdraw her guilty plea. This issue is this is interesting. This has got a lot of twists and turns too. All right, so the defendants used dozens of fake, stolen, or synthetic identities, including names belonging to elderly, they always prey on the elderly, or deceased people, and foreign exchange students who briefly visited the United States years ago and never returned, to submit fraudulent applications for approximately 150 PPP and EIDL loans in support of the fraudulent loan applications. The defendants also submitted false and fictitious documents to lenders and the SBA. So, right, that's what I was about to say. I was thinking this, I got a little ahead of myself. I was about to say they was doing fake tax returns. But here it says the SBA, they submitted documents to the SBA, including fake identity documents, tax documents, payroll records. So their Photoshop game is probably A1. The defendants then used the fraudulent obtained funds as down payments on luxury homes in Tarzania, Glendale. All right, so this is out west somewhere. They also used the funds to buy gold coins. Again, shout out to JT Coins. Diamonds, jewels, luxury watches, fine imported furnishings, designer handbags, clothing, and a Harley Davidson motorcycle. The conspirators sought to fraudulently obtain more than $20 million in COVID relief. So again, like, people do this COVID stuff, this COVID fraud, and then they pick, like, in my opinion, some of the weirdest things to buy. Why would you buy any of this? Why would you buy homes? Why would you buy cars? I mean, The gold coins, maybe because usually they're not as racial, air quotes there, as some of the other things, but I don't know. I don't know. All right, so 20 million in COVID relief funds conspiring to rob victims of their identities, and subsequently taxpayer funds vital to the survival of the nation. Small businesses will be met with justice. All right, so that's what they said. Yeah, that's crazy to me. I'm not sure why that one is. They said they were only trying to do 20 million. Clearly, there were other people that had other like charges that were more egregious, but who knows? But to me, they're all whack. But it is what it is. But if y'all want me to do a part 2, I will do a part 2 of this. Just let me know in the chat if you want me to do a part 2. I will do another one tomorrow. But like I said, I got to do some work tonight, and I got to answer y'all questions before I bounce. So let's get to this. Again, if you don't know me from a can of paint, I'm Kamari Ellis, the Finance Rebel. This is the Finance Rebel Show. Today is Wealthy Wednesdays. Every Wealthy Wednesday, I come and I talk about money. Taxes, stocks, business, economics, real estate. If it's about money, it's fair game. It's on the table. Tonight we talked about 10 of the IRS's biggest tax scandals for 2021. All right, so now we're going to get into some questions. I got a question here from KBR, my man Keith. Do I need to file an extension if I do not wish to file my taxes for 2021 tax season? So again, the question is, do I need to file an extension if I do not wish to file my taxes in 2021 tax season? So if you don't wish to file your taxes in 2021, there's really no need to file an extension, because what's going to happen is if you owe the IRS money, you are going to get a late filer penalty, interest, fines, underreporter filing penalties, like all kind of stuff. If you're getting a refund and you don't file, then you're just letting the government have your money forever, because you're not going to apply to get it. Listen, it's just as important to file your taxes to make sure you pay your taxes. It's also just as important to file your taxes to get your refund. You only get 3 years to claim your refund. So we are about to file the 2021 tax season, right? Right now, you can go back 3 years and get that tax if you had a refund from 3 years ago. So we got 2021, 2020, 2019. So if you had a tax refund in 2019, you didn't file your taxes, you didn't claim it, you will lose it if you do not file your taxes. All right? Period, point blank. That's the rule. No getting around it. No getting around it at all. You want to file your taxes, folks. So Keith, I would strongly urge you, implore you, beg you, please file your taxes. It's not worth the hassle in the long run. A lot of those folks that had problems getting EIDL or PPP money from our community that said they wasn't giving black folks no money, why not they wasn't giving black folks no money? Y'all books was janky. Let's just keep it funky. Y'all books sucked. Now, if you had good books, you would have got some money. It'd have been that easy. All right, Metaverse ETF worth it. I haven't looked at any of the Metaverse ETFs, but most of the Metaverse companies, like Facebook, which changed their name to Meta, just as a great branding and marketing ploy, are still regular companies that are in the S&P 500 and are in many other ETFs as well. So I'll do a deep dive on it at some point and look at it. Mrs. Aubrey, how are you? She is Jay Lana. How are you? I think I had another question. All right, Bossman PG says for tomorrow part 2. All right, I'm with it. Y'all trying to work me to death. Listen, have y'all subscribed to my YouTube channel? Can y'all do that? Can y'all do that at least? All right, so Jonathan0.ltd says, does the IRS have tax manual that a company can flow and use? I'm not sure I understand that. Does the IRS have a tax manual that a company can follow and use? And sometimes I get a little technical and a little specific, only because I want to give you all the best possible answers, right? So I could go a couple of different ways. So I'm guessing you're asking Jonathan, does the IRS have a tax manual that people can follow along and use to do their taxes? So yes, start with the Pub 17. So the Publication 17 will kind of walk you through everything you need to know about filing your personal return. If it's something more specific and you give it to me, I can then direct you to the right publication as well. However, he also asked he said something in this that kind of got my rebel senses tingling. He said, does the IRS have a tax manual? The IRS actually does have a tax manual. It's called the IRM, the Internal Revenue Manual. And the manual actually guides the IRS somewhat it guides them in how they manage the IRS, how they manage cases, how they deal with issues, and how they deal with things. It's all public. It's all public. It's great bedtime reading, but it's all public. It's all public. All right, so let's see. What other questions do we have? What other questions do we have? All right, let's see here. I know I saw somebody ask me about something. All right, Boss Man, I just saw that come up. Boss Man says, how much can you write off on home office, but only offering virtual services? So it depends with home offices. It depends on, there's a couple of different ways you can take that exemption. If you have a home office, if you have a home-based business, you should definitely be writing off your home office. You can do what's called the simplified version, and you can do the actual version. To explain it, I'll use the actual. Let's say your home is 1,000-foot square home. Your workspace is 100 square feet. So you take 100 and divide it into 1,000, that gives you 10%. So 10% of your home, you can write off your rent, your insurance, taxes, 10% of it, utilities, things like that. You can write off those things on your taxes. But definitely get with your tax pro to make sure you're doing everything by the letter of the law. All right, Alton's here. What's up, brother? All right, so Akira says, see, I made it. Yes, you did. HSA has terrible options. Oh, you asked me that question. Okay. Can I link it to my Robinhood or Stash account? Usually no. What's an HSA? HSA is a health savings account. And you have to have a high deductible insurance policy to do that. Why am I bringing that up? Because everybody can't get an HSA. And so usually when you have a company that has a high deductible insurance policy, they give you an HSA so you can put money in there, and then you can pay for medical bills tax advantage, in a tax advantage way. So no, usually you cannot do it. You have to stay within the plan of the HSA, just like you would with a 401k. What's up, Don? How are you, sir? Okay, Kira says universal income as well. You're talking about Dr. King when I was talking about all the things that he did. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I think he always talked economics, but I get your point. When Dr. King directly talked about economics, it was an issue, especially with the poor man's campaign. Tyrone Taylor, that's my tax brother right there. How are you, sir? All right. Don was trying to help me out. Said, where do we go from here? Now, here's an interesting question or a statement Akira says. Akira says, we don't read. Now, do me a favor. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. Put a 2 in the chat if you do agree with it. 1 in the chat if you agree. Black folks don't read. That's what Akira is saying. I read. Look at all these books. Here's a great book for everybody. Our Black Year by Maggie Anderson. I suggest everybody read it. I've interviewed Maggie a couple of times. Great book. Great story about a lady and her family that shot black for a whole year. They caused her being a racist because she said she was going to put money back into her community. Great book to read. Great book to read. All right, so as I'm scrolling through trying to find, Thunder is here. How are you doing, Thunder? The one thing I noticed about people who are all who do all that stealing, none to see, none. All right, let me read this again, y'all. I'm a little too excited. Thunder says, the one thing I noticed about people who do all that stealing never seem to have any money. I always found it interesting. Yeah. All right, so Bossman PG says 1. Depends on black folk. All right, so let's see. All right, Melanie Allen said he was interested in the topic tonight. All right, cool. Listen, I always want to know if I'm serving y'all properly. I don't want to bore y'all. I don't want to put y'all to sleep. Y'all can go to bed for that. Dick Gregory said many years ago, black folks are dehydrated and under rest, or we don't rest enough. I think he's right. All right, Bossman PG, I will answer your question as I'm looking for these others. He asked thoughts on Acorns for beginners. I think Acorn's cool. What's Acorn? Acorn is an investing platform where they round up your change. So, for example, let's say I go somewhere and I spend $5.50. They'll make the transaction $6. They'll take the $5.50 and give it to whatever retailer that I bought from. They'll take the 50 cents and put it into an investment account. And inside of those investment accounts, you'll have a basket of mutual funds or ETFs, and you can pick what style of investing do you want. Do you want to be conservative, right, where your money's kind of safe? It doesn't rock the boat that much. It's not succumb to the whims of the markets, the ups and downs of the market. Then you might have a moderate. Then you might have an aggressive investment style of investing. I think it's good for the beginners. I do personally like people buying their own stock, though. I think it's one thing to have somebody doing it for you. It's another thing when you actually participate in the process. And I think participation in the process is key, especially at early stages. He asked, can I trust their new raw feature? So can you trust, Acorn's new raw feature? I would say, yeah. They're some form of brokerage dealer. They have some form of regulation over them. This is not an endorsement for Acorn, right? Number one, they don't pay me. Number two, I haven't used that product. I used Acorns, but I haven't used their raw product. So I can't really speak for it, but I would think it's fine. I don't think it's any different than any open up a Roth anywhere else. We got jokes. Now y'all see this. All right, Philly Amplified. That's what man Daryl says, man, you sipping for the IRS. Somebody actually did say that in my comments. I'm trying to be a high value black man out here. Hey man, can we do both? Can we do both? All right, so let's see. I'm looking for I know I saw some other questions, or maybe y'all didn't have any questions. Did y'all have any questions? Because if not, y'all know I got to get to my vittles. I ate a little bit of something before I got on, but not a whole lot, because I didn't want to be on camera and getting the itis and falling asleep. All right, Jose said I'll also take the links because those stories are funny and interesting. Yeah, they are. Bossman PG says I should go on Earn Your Leisure. Sure. I mean, I love what Earn Your Leisure is doing. Funniest and stupidest tax fraud. I think that's the name Mote was saying I should give that. I might do that. All right, here's the one. TB, what's up, TB? Thank you for joining us tonight. Says I put 5% in 401k and 5% Roth 401k. What do you think? I'm glad you're putting something away in your 401k and your Roth 401k. I would say at least do the match. If there is a match, I'm assuming there is a match. And I actually like to see that you're splitting between the two, because the 401k is great. You can put the money in, get a tax benefit, grows tax free. However, at some point you're gonna have to pull that money out. You got to pay taxes on it. With your Roth 401k, there is no upfront tax break. You put the money in, it grows tax free. Guess what? If you follow all the rules, you get to pull the money out tax free. So that's great. I talk a lot about tax diversification. Many of y'all probably never heard of that before. Again, tax diversification. It's really important, especially when we get to retirement years. Samuel says, checked out the savings account video at work today. Great content as usual. All right, thank you. All right, so listen, we got some cosigns. I need y'all to help me grow this YouTube channel, y'all. I'm at like, what am I at? I need to do some updates to it too. But I am at, let's see. Let me pull it up here. Where am I at? So where am I at? 4.47K. So I'm a little under 5K. Can y'all help me get the 5K? Quick, fast, in a hurry. Quick, fast, in a hurry. All right, so Bossman PG says, am I into real estate? Most of my clients, or a lot of my clients, are real estate investors. I'm not currently invested into the market now, but I have been. I've been around real estate all my life. I tell a story about how my dad bought a triplex in the 80s and he lived in one part of it. And I asked him, I said, Dad, have you ever heard of house hacking? And he was like, no, what's house hacking? I said, well, you're a house hacker. He was like, what the hell is house hacking? I said, well, you live in one of the units and you rent the rest out. And he says, well, damn, I've been doing that since the 80s. I said, I know, but that's, that's the new wave term. That's the new term. So yeah, I mean, I'm into real estate. I work with it. I help some of my clients get financing for it. They will ask me questions about it. So I work with a lot of real estate professionals. I'm not in the market right now. I might get back in sooner or later, but who knows? I'm lazy though, right? My focus is growing my business and building up my stock portfolio right now. At some point, I might grab something, but I don't know. But boss man, haven't you? I mean, I share my Cash App portfolio here, so I share a lot of that stuff here. I share a lot of stock picks here. All right, so Philly Amplify says a common theme in foreign names. When do the Americans who we see skate with power get their just due? I don't understand that. Help me with that. Okay, so Akira said she watched it. All right, so thank you. Said need to unlock my treasury account. So listen, if y'all want to boost up your savings account, your emergency fund, y'all know I love to call it the opportunity fund, watch the latest video on YouTube. 3 ideas to increase your savings account. All right, so Dow gave me a 1. I believe the 1 was for me doing a replay. Oh no, I didn't ask y'all a couple questions and I didn't keep track of them. My bad. Mike Talbot, how are you? I am good, sir. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining the Finance Rebel Show today. All right, I see I got another question on the Instagrams. All right, Akira says Gregory was right. Who was Gregory and what was he right about? I might have missed that. All right, Allison. Hey, Allison, how you doing? Good talking to you this weekend. Good evening, Kamari, and everyone. I agree. Acorns is good for beginners, especially college students, since they pay no fees as long as they are enrolled and use their EDU email address. So EDU is the college address. Okay, I didn't know that. All right, that's cool. All right, TB says no match. No match? So I'll say this without knowing all of your business, TB, it might make sense to put all your money into the Roth 401k. You will lose some of the upfront tax advantage. Again, I don't know your information. This is not a personal recommendation, just a thought. This show is for entertainment and educational purposes only. You might want to think about putting it onto the Roth. Because if there's no match, it might be better to just let the money ride without any thought of having to pay taxes on the back end later on down the road. So just keep that in mind. Oh, okay. Akira says, apologies, Dick Gregory was correct. We suffer from a lack of proper rest and hydration. Yes. With that said, let me have some water. Yes, the last was related to whether. Well, I didn't say Pac. I usually don't talk Pac. Pac being POC, people of color. I say black folks. Most black folks, most people of color are black anyway, but that's a whole other discussion. The latest was related to whether POC read or not. I hope they read. Are we reading? I mean, I hope we are. I know one of y'all musical idol geniuses doesn't read, and it shows all the time. And sadly, I think he got a lot of people thinking they shouldn't read either. Rain Park, what's up, brother? Happy New Year. All right, Bossman said he's tuning in tomorrow. All right, last question of the night. Who's tuning in tomorrow at 8 o'clock? 1 p.m. All right, and so Bossman PG, put a 1 in the chat if you're chiming in tomorrow, if you're going to check in tomorrow. All right, Bossman PG says, why is stock crashing under Biden and not Trump? Is that really a fair comparison? Is that a real question? I know we love to try to pin everything to the president, and some things should be pinned to the president. But listen, the stock market, I've been talking about it for a while. The stock market has been overdue for a fall. Whether that happens under Biden, Trump, right? Because listen, Trump lied. He talked about his stock market expansion. The real stock market expansion started under Obama. He took over. He had a great economy. He was a terrible dude. Now, I am going to start talking more about politics here, but I promise not to bore you and not to be dogmatic, but it always relate back to money. And so I would say Trump did some policies that were for the rich. The rich really are the ones that are pushing the markets. The markets did good. COVID, though, wrecked everything. Wrecked Trump's approval ratings. Wrecked Trump's approval ratings because he handled COVID terribly. Right? He sent his PPE. We sent U.S. PPE away. Didn't recognize the threat that was apparent. Something Obama had talked about for years and years. Right? So he kind of dropped the ball. And he also instigated a riot. By the way, Supreme Court is not going to block Trump from pulling White House records about January 6th. When all those crazy folks went down to the Capitol and showed their ass. So, yeah, clearly I'm not a fan. I haven't been a fan. And here's the king. I don't want anybody to get this misconstrued. I am nor a Democrat nor Republican. I might be registered as one, but ideology-wise, thinking-wise, both parties sucked. Both of them. Sadly, we got a lot of black folks parading around acting like the Republican Party is like the next coming of Black Jesus, which is not. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans. If you really get into it, remember I talked about the nuance earlier? Speaking of Dr. Martin Luther King, somebody's going to come and say King was a Republican. Party was totally different back then. Party was totally different from Lincoln. All you got to do is a little research, y'all, just a little bit of reading. Akira said black folks don't read. I'm hoping we prove her wrong. Please, please. Your baby's fate depends on it. Your mama fate might depend on it too. Hey, Miss Edith, how are you? Agency X, how are you? Thank you for joining us. All right, so I got a bunch of ones. So a bunch of y'all chiming in tomorrow, 8 p.m. We're going to talk some more about taxes. Everybody has subscribed to the Finance Rebel. Messed that up. Everybody has subscribed to the Finance Rebel YouTube channel, right? Can I assume that as a fact? Or y'all going to make me look out? I'm assuming and making an ass out of myself. I hope not. I hope not. All right, so listen. So tomorrow we are going to come back for more of the top 10 IRS criminal tax cases. All right, tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the reminder on YouTube. So do me a favor, just go on to YouTube, jump on the reminder, just so you don't forget. Tomorrow we'll be here at 8 o'clock, 8-ish. Today I had technical difficulties. For some reason, I updated my PC yesterday, and it kept running the updates. So it kept rebooting, restarting, rebooting, restarting. So it took like a whole day to do the whole update. So that's why I was late today. But I'll be back tomorrow. The sun will be shining brightly, and I'm putting it up right now as we speak. All right, let's see, 10 tax cases, tax cases continued. If I could spell right. All right, let's see, part 2. So y'all can all go on over to the YouTube channel, Finance Rebel, and it will be scheduled for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 20th at 8 p.m. All right, it's up now, so you can go on over, jump on up there, get the updates, get the reminder, and I will see you all at 8 p.m. Listen, as always, on Kamari Ellis, as always, I'm thankful, I'm joyous, filled with gratitude that you all are here. Y'all are like family to a large extent. Like, I get to talk to y'all almost every week, right? So that's a good thing. But listen, I need y'all to make a bigger commitment to me in this thing, though, right? Because I don't want to just talk to y'all throughout these weeks. Y'all all need to also join my text community, right? The phone number for the text community is 215-974-0058. I refuse to be a slave to these platforms. So tap in with me, check in with me. I'm doing a whole better job of staying in touch with the community. I don't want to bore y'all with stuff. I don't want to just come with y'all with ridiculous like stuff just like out of the air. I don't want to clog up your mailboxes or your text messages. But, you know, I do want to stay in touch. And I just saw that there is another question. So before I go off, I'm going to do this from my man Keith. But remember, make sure you text in 215-974-0058. So you can text me. It's me. It's not a computer. It's me. All right. So Keith says cash is king. Amen to that. That is the first rule of finance for everybody who doesn't know that. But I find myself using more digital funds, Apple Pay, credit cards, etc. in today's climate. Is this the future with Bitcoin, I guess? Yep. Yeah. I mean, the future's already here. I did a show over the summer asking if cash is dead. Because cash was already on the decline, right? The amount of actual physical cash in circulation in the country has been down. COVID really killed it. If y'all remember, the mint didn't have any more change. Stores didn't have any more change, like actual coins. So it was crazy. So yeah, I think more digital is going to be the wave. But what is cash now? What is the currency? Cash is what you actually have to pay your credit card bills or your Apple Pay. It's still usually a debit coming out of your account. Even with your credit cards, yeah, you might run up the bag and run up the bill, but technically you're supposed to make a payment every month or at least pay off as much as possible, if not all of that tax bill by the end of the month. Sadly, some people don't have the discipline to do it, but that's a whole other conversation. But at the end of the day, it still comes back to a payment. Cash has been a lot of things. It's been sand, it's been pieces of gold, it's been bones, it's dollars, it's francs, it's yen, it's dollars in the US. So I think we'll always have some form of cash because that's what it's denominated in, unless we have like a major earth-shattering World War III, which isn't necessarily that far off the horizon, right? I want y'all to pay attention to what's going on with Russia, United States, and the Ukraine. Again, Russia, United States, and the Ukraine. That's going to be very interesting. That could affect markets. That could affect the way of life for a lot of us. So pay attention to that. Don't get swept in by media, but just keep your eyes open to know what's going on. All right? So listen, check in with me, 215-974-0058. And I will be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. to continue this conversation about tax fraud, criminal investigations by the IRS. Happens more often than y'all realize. And I might try to pull up some other cases for some things if I have time. I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I might try. for some things that like regular everyday things, like some of the questions I ask or I get asked about people when they say, can they do this, can they do that? And then we can look at the tax case. So if I don't have time to do it tomorrow, I will do it sometime in the next week. All right. So again, I appreciate you all. Always humbled that you're here. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow. So make sure you register. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.